Jeremy Pruitt just a few minutes away from addressing the media in mass at the podium for the first time as a college football head coach. Volunteer fans there to greet him. Oh, he's signing for the kiddos. Pruitt in minutes.
Way to go, Jeremy.
Tennessee is one of the premier programs in the country. Since the day we've got here, guys have been excited about going to work. We want to win a national championship. We want to win an SEC championship. We didn't come here to win 6, 7, 8 games. We came here to be the best that we can possibly be.
Yeah, the coaching search was anything but smooth. It was anything but private. But they found who they believe is their guy, and that's Jeremy Pruitt at Tennessee, former defensive coordinator at Georgia and at Alabama, among other places.
Florida State for a national championship.
That's right. What do you want to hear from Pruitt, or what are you looking forward to hearing when he steps up there?
I want to hear how he responds to what's a mini controversy. Aaron Murray yesterday, the former quarterback at Georgia, took some shots at him. It's worth pointing out Aaron Murray, I don't think, was there at the exact same time.
They were not there at the same time.
But he essentially said, and I'm quoting, I don't know if his personality is fit to be a head coach. As a head coach, you have to deal with a lot of important people and various things. I think it was an unnecessary shot at Coach Pruitt, who I think had incredible credentials. Nick Saban recommended him. Everyone else did. So how he responds to that question is going to be very interesting to me.
Yeah, he's going to be very forthright. I mean, if there's one thing Jeremy Pruitt does, he shoots from the hip and he says exactly what he's thinking. And I think that's going to be kind of a breath of fresh air, knowing there are a lot of canned answers that we see throughout the course of the media day period.
We have?
Few.
I haven't seen any of those.
One or two.
Vol Nation would love that from a head coach, too.
Be great.
Right?
Absolutely.
Right. To the podium we will go. Jeremy Pruitt, the second coach of the day, as the commissioner, Greg Sankey, makes his way to the podium now to introduce the new Tennessee head coach.
Our second coach on day 3 of the SEC kickoff has been part of 5 national championship coaching staffs since 2009, led the nation's #1 ranked defense the last 2 seasons. He's a 2-time Broyles Award finalist and the 2012 National Recruiter of the Year. As determined by 24/7 Sports, my privilege to introduce the new head coach of the Tennessee Vols, Jeremy Pruitt.
You know, there's a lot of firsts for me. My first SEC meetings and sitting in there for a couple of days, it was real easy to see why this conference is the best conference in the country. You know, sitting around and listening to Greg talk and lead the meetings. Brilliant guy and has a plan for everything. And Greg, I just want to say thank you for that introduction and thank you for having me. Thank you to the media. This is the best conference in the country, and a lot of it has to do with the exposure that you guys get. Everywhere you're at, it don't matter if you're in Knoxville, Tennessee, or you can be in Houston, Texas, or you can be in Cincinnati, Ohio, wherever. The coverage for the SEC is second to none. Thank you for that. For me, when I chose to go to Tennessee, and our staff chose to go to Tennessee, our #1 goal is to build a championship program. To do that, it takes commitment and it takes resources. When you talk about commitment, you can look at the Tennessee fan base. I've been all over the state. I've been all over the Southeast. The passion, you can feel it. We're hungry. They're hungry. Everybody's hungry. We're excited to get started. We're excited to get this era started, and can't wait to do it. When you talk about facilities, our facilities there, the plan that's been in place, just in the last 6 months, we have added a practice facility, an extra practice field. We have redone our weight room, and we have also redone the Anderson Center. So when you talk about commitment, you got to have the resources to do it. I think it starts at the top. It starts with our athletic director, Philip Fulmer. A lot of people ask questions. What's it like working with Coach Fulmer? Well, the easiest way to look at it is this. If you told me that I was going to be the head coach at Tennessee and I could choose who the athletic director was going to be, I would choose Coach Fulmer. Coach Fulmer was a player there. He was an assistant coach. He's a championship head coach at Tennessee. So all the things that help make Tennessee great, he knows what it took to get there. When there was a bump in the road, he probably knows the things that can help steer me away from it. I'm thankful that I have an opportunity of, hey, if I have some questions, because I'm going to tell you something. Whatever you do, I talk about football all the time being a developmental game. It's the same thing, same way for coaches. I'm sure 10 years from now I'll be a better head coach than I will be this fall. So the good part of that for me is if I have any questions, I got a guy that I can walk 30 feet down the hall and lean on him. So I think that he's going to expedite this process to help us get to being a championship program again. To me, if you're going to build that, you got to have a strong staff. When we went to look to build our staff, the first thing that we were looking for was good people. When you're talking about the 10 full-time coaches and myself, 8 of us started off as high school football coaches. Well, to me, that's important. If you're going to get in a high school game, you're doing it because you want to have a positive impact on young people. And I know that our guys, that's their first priority. If you're a high school coach, you got to understand how to be a really good teacher. You got to understand the teaching progression. And I think our guys are fantastic teachers. If you're going to build a championship program, you've got to be able to recruit, obviously, but you got to be able to develop what's on your team. I think a great illustration of who our staff is, if you looked at this past year's NFL draft, there's 32 picks in the first round. There's 8 young men that were drafted in the first round that somebody on our staff either recruited, coached, or helped develop in their program at some point in time. If you're going to win championships, you got to have guys that are winners, the guys that have been there, that understand it and know what it takes to do that. With 11 guys on our staff, 13 times some member on our staff has been on the national championship staff. To me, that's pretty impressive. To me, the most important thing building this program is graduating our players, graduating our student athletes. Joe Scoggins is head of our academic department. His staff does a fantastic job. They're proactive. They're not reactive. We have 10 seniors on our football team entering this season, but we will have 10 young men that have already graduated. At Christmas, we're going to have 22 men on our roster that have already received their degrees, and that's with only 10 seniors. So that tells you a little bit about Joe and what kind of job that he's doing. If you looked at our roster, there's over 40 degrees representative. So that says a lot about the versatility of the university there. You look at our staff. Tracy Rocker, he won the Outland, he won the Lombardi. Chris Winkie, he won the Heisman Trophy. Terry Fair, he was a first-round pick. There's no staff in the country that illustrates more how important a degree is. As good as those guys were at what they did, someday somebody told them they wasn't good enough. So then they had to lean on the whole reason they went to school, and I think our staff exemplifies that. You know, the power of the T. The T's power. The T represents power. You know, for our guys, the opportunities that exist with the people that are associated with the University of Tennessee once football's over with. I've been to Memphis, Nashville, Chattanooga, Bristol, Knoxville, Atlanta, Georgia, Charlotte, North Carolina, Huntington, West Virginia, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Everywhere I've been, I have seen and felt the power of the T. And I'm honored to have a chance to represent the University of Tennessee, and we're excited to get this season going. There's 3 young men that we brought today. The first one's Kyle Phillips. He is a senior defensive lineman from Nashville. Kyle has already graduated in sports management. When I got there, Kyle was probably 260 pounds, and he's worked really hard. I think he's between 275 and 280 pounds.